This is the last one, no? Last live session, no? Okay. Am I live now? Okay. So, very good afternoon. So, welcome to this the live session of the course, Machine Learning and Deep Learning, Fundamentals and Applications. This is the third and the final live session of the course. So, this is the live session only for 1 hour. So, if you have any queries, then you can discuss with me. And already we have covered week number 11 also, and week number 12 also we have covered. So if you have any doubts or anything you want to discuss with me in this live session, then you can interact with me. So I'll be available. So in Microsoft Team, you can write your question in the chat box, or maybe in the YouTube also, you can write your question in the chat box. So I'm waiting for your questions, and I have not seen any questions in the shared doc file. So one doc file, actually it is shared by the NPTEL. So I have not seen any questions. So now live questions, one question I have seen. So Nishant PG. So his question is how to prepare for main exam for higher marks. So I think in this course only 30% may be the problem based type, and remaining 70% will be the concept based. So the questions will be very similar to assignment, but I think it will be easy than the assignment. So yeah, there are many questions will be there based on the concept. Many questions will be based on the concept, theoretical questions, but numerical problems will be only 30% numerical problems. That also, I think that is not so difficult. So first you try to complete the objective type questions just based on the concept, no numerical questions. After this, one by one, you can try the numerical questions, and that is also not difficult. In assignments, we are giving the difficult questions because the students should not copy from each other. But in the exam, I can say you that only maybe 5-6 questions will be difficult. The rest will be very simple. So I think not a problem for the main exam. Only you have to see the videos and maybe the books, whatever I have discussed in the first class. And based on the concept, you can answer at least 80% questions you can answer in the main exam. So that is not difficult. I'm sure about this. So there is a question from Ramaya Rajan. Sir, some of the solutions to the assignment questions were not correct. We got a different answer from that of the solution provided. So I think only 1 or 2 questions are like this, and my TAs are reevaluating the assignments, the questions of the assignments, and for this the marks will be given to you. So the problems, the questions, the solutions are problems. That for that type of questions, the marks will be given after re-evaluation. The re-evaluation is going on. So I think that is not a problem. So because of the re-evaluation, you will be getting the actual marks of the assignments. So we have detected 1 or 2 mistakes in the assignments, and the marks will be given to these wrong questions. So now you should prepare for the main exam. So I think that is also not so difficult, because already I have mentioned that mainly the concept based question will be there, and only 20 to 30% question will be numerical based. So I think that may not be a problem. So you just see the videos, and maybe some of the books already I have mentioned in the first lecture. You can see the books, and I think your concept will be clear. Then you can answer most of the questions. At least 80%, 90% question you can answer. And for 10%, the numerical, you have to just do some practice. I think even in the exam also, you can get the time, because the concept oriented problems, within maybe 2 hours, you can complete everything. And rest, you can just try in the exam also. And now also you can do some practice for numerical problems. So another question is uh, three case word. So how to decide algorithm application, that is algorithm applicability according to the situation or demand. So suppose in medical image analysis, suppose if I want to reduce the dimension of the image or dimension of the feature vector, then you can apply the PCA, the principal component analysis. So I have discussed many algorithms like principal component analysis, LDA, the K nearest neighbor technique, decision trees, random forest, K nearest neighbor technique, logistic regression. So based on a particular problem, you have to see how you can approach. Suppose if you want to apply random forest classifier, then based on this your problem, you can apply. So tell me this type of problem so that I can give the answer. Suppose if I have some video, so in the video, if I want to recognize the sequence, then one problem or one algorithm I can say hidden Markov model. In video-based problem, you can use the hidden Markov models. And if you go for the deep learning, the CNN techniques are very good. So this is the question. So based on the applications, you can select one algorithm, or maybe one or more algorithms you can select. But you have to understand in which case this particular algorithm is applied. So another question is by Adhir Garg. So do you have some questions banked from previous year exam? So actually this is controlled by NPTEL. I am not controlling this one. So this is actually done by the NPTEL IIT Madras. So that is very difficult for me because I don't know the questions. So the previous year questions papers, these were conducted by NPTEL IIT Madras. So I think based on the assignments and based on the concept discussed in the video, I think you can solve most of the problems, because already I discussed with the NPTEL IIT Madras. So that I told them that at least 70-80% question will be based on the concept, and 30% or 20% question will be numerical based. So it will be simple as compared to the assignment problems. Only again you have to see the videos once again, and maybe you can make a note of the videos. And after this, small numerical problems you can try. Even if you search in the open source internet, you can get many problems, like suppose decision tree, random forest, or PCA. Just you search in the Google, you will get many problems, small problems. Even in the books like Duda and Hart also you can get some problems. But right now it is not possible for me to give the previous year question papers because this was maintained by IIT Madras and PTL. So also better to see the last part of the course that starting from the artificial neural networks. So these are mainly the concept-based questions, the ANN. So see most of the part like ANN. So in the ANN we have 4 lectures, and also you see the deep architectures, whatever we have discussed in the class, like the concept of the CNN, the concept of the GAN, concept of the UNN, that concept of the generative models, concept of the autoencoder, concept of the RNN, concept of the UNet architecture. So you can see this in the video, and mostly many questions, the concept-based question will come from that part because artificial neural network only the understanding is important. The radial basis function understanding is important. The competitive network understanding is important. The CNN architecture, only you have to understand what is the convolutional neural network, what is the pooling layer, what is the meaning of the convolution, what is the meaning of the fully connected layer. So if you can understand these things, then I think many things, the concept-based question you can answer. Many concept-based question you can answer. And also I discussed many architecture of the CNN like Google Net, Residual Net, LXNet. So from this also, I think they will give some questions like the residual network, the concept of the residual network, concept of the Google Net, concept of the LXNet, concept of the LeNet. So this type of architecture also you can see from the video what is there. So if you have any questions, then again you can discuss with me in the live session. So already I think we have completed all the weeks of the course. Week number 11 also we have completed. So I think this is the last live session of the course. So once again, I request all of you to see all the videos from the beginning. If you repeat the videos, then I think your concept will be more clear. So initial part is the mathematical part. But if you see after this ANN, these are theoretical concept-based questions. So one question by try case word. So his question is the trade-off between bias and the variance and its role in the unsupervised learning. So already I mentioned in the bias and the variance. So bias means if I consider a very simple model, then its performance during the training or during the testing may not be good because we are considering a very simple model, but the problem is very complex. And what is the high variance? The high variance means we are considering a very complex model to consider that particular problem, So during the training, the performance is very good, but during the testing, the performance may not be very good. So that is actually high variance. So high bias means we are considering a very simple model to consider a very complicated problem. So the problem may be the classification problem or maybe the regression problem. And because of this, during the training, the error is very high, and during the testing also, the error is very high. If I consider a very simple model. And if I consider high variance, that means we are considering a very complex model to consider that problem. The problem is the classification problem or the regression problem. And corresponding to this, the training, corresponding to the training, the performance is very good, but during the testing, the performance is going down. So that is why there should be a compromise between the high variance and the high bias. So bias should not be too high and the variance should not be too high. So that compromise is important. That compromise is the bias variance trade-off. So bias should not be too high and also variance should not be too high. Hello. Hello. Okay, no? It live is going on now. So it is okay now. Live is going on now. Hello, NPTL. Okay. So Adhir Garg, so this is I am considering. Sorry, what is it? Okay, try case word. So his concept I have explained the bias and the variance. And after this, in the unsupervised learning, so the concept is slightly different in the unsupervised learning. So suppose in the K means clustering, or maybe in the PCA, so maybe some nonlinear data is available, the nonlinear assumption is available. So that assumption we can consider in the PCA, and maybe in case of the K means clustering, we can consider some outliers point. That is actually not related to bias and the variance, but it is very similar. The concept is very similar to bias and the variance. This bias and variance consideration is mainly applicable to the classification and the regression. But the same concept is applicable to unsupervised learning, like in the K-means clustering, we are considering the outliers. In PC also, maybe something like nonlinear data handling, the nonlinear assumptions we can consider. So that is actually indirectly the bias and the variance concept. So if you see the K-means clustering also, sometimes we have to consider some assumptions to consider the minimization problem. So these assumptions are mainly the bias and the variance. So suppose if I consider some assumptions for getting the optimized clusters, because unsupervised learning is nothing but a clustering technique. So suppose if I put some conditions, and based on these conditions, I am getting the compact cluster or maybe some clusters I am getting. So these conditions are mainly mainly something like bias and the variance. So suppose if I want to consider the outliers in K-means clustering, so maybe we can consider some conditions in the K-means clustering, and that is actually indirectly the bias and the variance. And similarly, if I consider the PCA, suppose some nonlinear assumptions we are considering, so that assumptions also is a kind of bias and the variance. So bias and the variance is mainly for the supervised learning, like regression and the classification. But the same concept, it is very similar to this, that it is also applicable to unsupervised learning, like the K-means clustering already I have given some assumptions. So if I want to get some good clusters, maybe some assumptions we can consider. Or maybe in the PC also, maybe some assumptions we can consider. So that is actually the bias and the variance. So another one is the Ajigard. Thank you for all effort for videos and clustering. So curating the, sorry, thank you for all the efforts for video and curating the course for machine learning deep learning. Is there any plan for course for agentic AI? No, there is no plan for the agentic AI, but next semester you will be getting another course mainly on deep learning, not machine learning. So deep learning up to LLM transformers. So we will be discussing about this. So the deep learning course consisting of the CNN, starting from CNN, autoencoders, generative models, and some popular deep architectures like Siamese network, zero-shot learning, LLM, transformers, RNN. So that will be covered in the deep learning course. So there is a plan for the deep learning course, but not agentic AI. So Swarup Pal, already I have mentioned about how to prepare for the exam. So mainly 70 to 80% is concept-based question. So theoretical questions. So if you see the videos minutely, then I think that may not be a problem. And only the numericals, 20%, 30% will be numerical problems. So that is the thing that you have to see the videos and try to get the concept. So if you have a concept, at least 70%, 80% you can solve. And 20%, some numerical questions will be there, but that will be very simple as compared to assignment questions. So that is why just you see the video and some numerical questions maybe you can see in the open source, and at least you will get 80%, 90% marks in the NSEM exam, the final exam. So try case OR, again, he is writing classification and regression come under supervised learning, but unsupervised algorithm, what are the considerations? So already I have mentioned about this. So that is actually some conditions we are imposing on unsupervised learning. Like in the k-means clustering, we are imposing some thing so that I am getting the good clusters. Like in the PC also, there's an unsupervised case. So we are putting some consideration, suppose nonlinear assumption we are considering. So these type of cases are considered as the bias and the variance in unsupervised. So the concept is very similar to the supervised, but I should not say it is the bias and the variance for the unsupervised learning. So if you have any questions, again, you can write in the chat box. So we can discuss. So another question is by Deepika. So give some applications of hidden markup model. So in my video, I have given one example of gesture recognition. So suppose in gesture recognition means hand gesture recognition. So in a video, suppose if I consider the video recognition, so in the video we have number of frames, and actually the temporal information is available in the hidden markup in the video. So this temporal information is important, and this temporal information we can consider in the hidden markup model. The time information, the temporal means the time information. Suppose if I move the hand recognition, something like this, if I show the hand. So suppose if I move the hand something like this, and this is a gesture. So if I move the hand, suppose this corresponding to a gesture, if I move a hand like this, so this is a gesture. So if I consider this video, the temporal information is available. So this temporal information we can consider in the hidden markup model. Similarly, if I consider a speech recognition, suppose in speech recognition, it is a temporal sequence. So if I consider, suppose I am identifying one speech sequence, that is a voice recognition or the speech recognition, then what you can consider all the time instance we have to consider. So that is why we can apply the hidden markup model, the transition from one state to another. So there are different states. So suppose if I consider a video, so in the video there are different states. So transition from one state to another, that is considered in the hidden markup model. And whenever the temporal information is available, we can consider the hidden markup model, like in the speech processing or speech recognition, or maybe in the video recognition, because the time information is available and we have number of states. So when the one particular state will go to the another state, the transition from one state to another transition, so that transition is considered in the hidden markup model. So the applications we may consider like this. So this is the one applications. So one question is by K. Babu, sir, whether any descriptive questions for the no descriptive, only the objective type questions. So multiple choices question A, B, C, D. So only you have to select the correct answer A, B, C, D. Swarup Paul, any similar questions from assignment? So there may be some similar questions, but generally the assignment questions are difficult. But in the main exam, it will be simple as compared to the assignment questions. In the assignment, we generally give the difficult questions because the students may get from the open source or they may copy from each other. So that is why the assignment questions are difficult. But in the exam, it will be simple. And already I have mentioned that 70–80% questions will be concept based. So if you understand that concept, what is the decision tree? What is the random forest? Then these objective type questions you can answer. And these 30% to 20%, 20 to 30% questions, the numerical base, that will be simple as compared to the assignment questions. No, Swarup, already I have discussed in the live session. So we don't have the question bank because these exams were conducted by NPTEL, IIT Madras. So they have the question bank. We don't have the question banks. So assignments, actually we developed the assignment questions, but this NPTEL IIT Madras, they are the main team for developing all these question papers and all the marks, all the assignments marks they are compiling, and they will give the final grade. So mainly in the open source also you can see some questions. So if you will type something like the decision tree in the Google some problems, you will get the problems in the decision tree. And already I have mentioned the book's name, the Duda and Hart book. No, some concept-oriented problems are there. So there also you can see the problems. But in the machine learning, it is very difficult to get the problems book. So no books are available in the machine learning having all these problems. But I feel generally the students do based on the concept. Even we select the questions in our exam based on our concept. So we develop the questions based on our concept. And also we set in our exam, like in IIT also, we have set the exam questions based on the concept of the topic. So like in decision tree, random forest, we have the concept, and based on the concept, we develop the questions. But generally it is not available in the books. Also, it is not available in many materials. But nowadays in the open source also, uh, you can consider this thing. The questions. So try case or another question, training data in unsupervised model. So no, that data is available and these are unlabeled data. And based on this data, we can do the clustering. Unsupervised is mainly the clustering we can do. Like if you see the k-means clustering, we can do the unsupervised clustering, like the k-means clustering, the mean shift clustering. So these are some clustering techniques already we have discussed in the course. Hierarchical clustering, fuzzy c-means clustering. So this based on the data, actually we can do the clustering of this data. And already I have mentioned this is the concept of the bias and the variance is very similar in the unsupervised model also. So suppose in the k-means clustering, suppose number of centroids k. So how many centroids? Suppose 3 centroid, or maybe if I consider very complex, maybe 9 centroid or 10 centroids. If I consider, the model will be very complex. So that is actually indirectly related to bias and the variance. So if I consider suppose k is equal to 10 or k is equal to 20, the number of centroids, and if I impose some constraints, that these are actually the related to bias and the variance. So if you have any questions, then you can discuss with me. So just write your question in the chat box. We can discuss. So if you have any questions, then you can discuss with me. So we have only 15 minutes. So after this, we have to conclude this live. So one question by K. Babu. So could you please mention about the programming part of ML in practical applications? No, in all practical applications, you have to use the programming. First, the algorithm understanding is important. After this, implementation. For implementation, programming you have to do. So Python programming already we discussed in the course, but again you have to see how to do the Python programming. Then only you can implement some algorithm. So suppose in computer vision applications, image processing application, speech processing algorithms, NLP. So any applications, first you have to see the algorithm, which algorithm you can apply. And after this, you have to consider the programming. So programming, maybe Python programming is very easy. So that programming you have to do. Then you can get the results. So in all the practical applications, the programming is the must. You have to do the programming. But algorithm is first you have to understand the algorithm and how to implement that algorithm corresponding to that particular application. So related to that particular application, how to do the programming, that programming you have to learn. So I feel the programming is not so difficult. Once you learn the programming within 1 month, but this algorithm understanding is more important. So if you understand this algorithm, then this programming should not be a problem. The programming will be easy.
আমি সুরেশ জয়েন কিবা চলি আছে।
Thank you. Thank you. Deepavali, no? Okay, so okay. So another question is by this try case word. Sir, are we considering GPU or TPU or DNN in computing power of the only? So we are considering the GPU. Only we are considering the GPU for deep neural networks. So mainly because in deep architectures, we have to consider huge number of training data set, huge data we have to consider. So it is not possible to do in CPU. So that is why mostly we have to consider the GPU. So GPU is the best option for most of the deep architecture algorithms. Like CNN also, if I consider the UNet architecture, so GPU you have to consider maybe 48 GB RAM or something like this, 32 GB, and this type of RAM, and the CPU architecture, this processor configuration is also there, processor configuration, memory, and the GPU card memory. So all these things you have to see. Then only you can do something for the deep neural networks. And now the Kaggle is available. Google Colab is also available. So you can do the small computations in Google Colab, Kaggle. So you can see this. So the programming you have to do in Python. And for deep architectures, mainly we have to consider the GPU. No, TPU is the tensor processing. So if I consider the tensor algorithm, tensor-based processing, TPU generally Google support is there. So you can consider the TPU. But if I consider the Kaggle or Google Colab also, you can use online. And tensor-based implementation also you can do. So online cloud computing system is available, like Google also support the TPU. So I think we have to conclude this live session. So So if you have any questions, then again, just write in the chat box. So only we have 5-6 minutes. So before that, we have to complete that one. So I think you should now prepare for the final exam. So already I mentioned that it is not so difficult. Only again and again you have to see the video, and maybe you can make a note of the videos. And once you have all the concept, then what you can do, the 80%, 70-80% questions you can do in the exam. And for the 30% or the 20% numerical questions, again 10% will be very simple questions, and only the practice is important for some difficult questions. But I feel it will be easy than the assignment questions. So, okay, then we have only 2-3 minutes for this live session. So if you have any questions, again, I am asking, just discuss with me. Otherwise, I have to close the live session. And I think this is the last live session of this course. So next semester, the one course will be running, that is a computer vision and image processing, fundamental and applications. And maybe another course on mainly on deep learning algorithms, and also the implementation of the deep learning algorithms. So I am planning to offer another video course that is on deep learning, mainly on deep learning, no machine learning. This course is the combination of machine learning and the deep learning, and maximum part we have discussed the machine learning, and only 30% we have discussed the deep learning and the artificial neural network. But this deep learning course, what I am proposing now, that is mainly on ANN and the deep learning algorithms, and also the implementation in the GPU, how to implement in the GPU. So this also will be discussed. So there will be around 45 videos on deep learning and up to LLM, ChatGPT. We are considering that course, transformers. So all these concepts I am going to discuss in the deep learning course. So no machine learning, only the deep learning. But this course is mainly the machine learning. If you see, once you understand the machine learning concept, then it is easy to develop the deep architecture also. So many things are that correlated. If you see the correlation between the machine learning and the deep learning, so many things are correlated. So many things you can borrow from the machine learning, and that can be also combined with deep learning architectures. So if you have a good concept of the machine learning, then many simple things also you can do, because many problems, the real life problems, can be solved in the machine learning algorithm by machine learning algorithms. So instead of considering the deep architecture, directly you can apply the machine learning algorithms. So machine learning algorithms are still popular because for many applications, you can get the sufficiently good results with the help of the machine learning algorithms. Because when the data is limited, better to apply the machine learning technique instead of the deep architectures, the deep learning techniques. So last question already Saurabh poll, whether any descriptive, no, there is no descriptive questions, only the objective type questions will be there. Multiple answer, multiple questions, that is A, B, C, D. So multiple choices will be there. So out of this, you have to select one, A, B, C, D. So you have to select one. So maybe A, maybe B, like this, you have to select. Okay, then thank you all the participants of this course. Thank you for attending this live session. So I am again requesting you to see all the videos for the main exam. And I think it is not so difficult. After completing this course, I think you have a good understanding of machine learning and also the deep learning, what is machine learning and what is deep learning. At least you can understand this concept. And in the real time, real life application, you can apply these principles, the machine learning principles particularly, and also the deep architectures, the deep learning algorithms. So these mathematical concepts are extremely important, because once you understand the mathematical concept, your concept will be very good. Otherwise, directly if you go to the deep learning, that concept is not good. So that is why you have to focus more on machine learning. And after this, the deep learning, anyhow, nowadays the videos are available and easily you can understand the deep architecture, the deep learning algorithms. That is not a problem. But the problem is the mathematical understanding of this machine learning algorithms. And then only sometimes you have to develop something new in deep learning. Suppose entropy. The entropy concept is used in the deep learning. And already you have studied the concept of the entropy in decision tree. So these type of cases you can apply in deep architectures. Like what is the probability density function? So people are now using this concept in the deep architectures. So that is why the mathematical concepts are extremely important for developing the deep learning algorithms. So best wishes to all the students. So I think you can perform well in the main exam. And I think there should not be any problem in the main exam. Just you see all the videos once again. And if possible, you can make the notes from the videos. And I think you can easily score 80%, 70% marks in the exam. So if you give more effort, then even 90%, 95% marks also you can get in this course. So thank you for attending this live session. Also, thank you for doing this course. So thank you. So I am now concluding this live session. Thank you.